Good afternoon, everybody. Couldn't ask for a nicer November day. It feels like sometime in September, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful. So thank you all for being here. I am just so pleased that this day has arrived. We've been working on this for a long time, and we're about ready to get started with turning the dirt to build this fabulous building that's going to be here in St. Matthews and a real landmark for this community and the entire city of Louisville. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize a few people. First of all, I'd like to recognize Mayor Greg Fisher, who's here, and any Metro Council members from the city of Louisville that are here. I'd also like to recognize Mayor Rick Tonini and any members of the St. Matthews Council that are here. I know there's a few of them here. Also, I'd like to recognize leaders of the Chambers of Commerce that are here. We have Sarah DeVashner Wisdom from Greater Louisville, Inc., and we have Michael Chesser with St. Matthews Chamber. I'd also like to recognize Father Dave Harris with St. Albert the Great Catholic Church, who will be blessing this ground today before we turn the spades of dirt. And then I'd also like to recognize some of the leadership of Independence Bank that is here today. Chris Reed, our President, CEO, and Chairman. Jacob Reed, our Executive Vice President. Greg Mulliken, Executive Vice President. And many of my fellow colleagues, presidents of the other markets, department managers, division managers, people that are in leadership of the bank that have made this all possible. So thank you all for being here. And finally, I'd like to recognize some of our local board members. We have not announced our board. We're going to make a big announcement in January, but several of them are here. So I'd like to recognize Lori Flannery, Maria Hampton, Gil Holland, and Michael Mountjoy. And finally, thank you to all my family and friends and guests and everybody else that are friends of Independence Bank that have showed up today. Thank you. So I'm so proud to represent this fine institution in the Louisville market. Independence Bank prides itself on superior care for our employees, our customers, and our community. We consistently earn the best place to work in the country. We get fabulous client reviews, and we are often voted one of the best corporate citizens in each one of the communities we serve. Because of sticking to these fundamentals, Independence Bank has grown to become a $2.2 billion bank and the fourth largest community bank in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Furthermore, according to the June edition of the American Banker magazine, Independence Bank was voted the second best financially performing bank in the country. Let me repeat that. Independence Bank is the second best financially performing bank in the United States of America, located right here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. When we enter communities, we assemble a superior team, a community-committed board, and I think you can see that in the board members that we've selected so far and have chosen to join with us. And we see clients that share our values for the community, their customers, and their employees. Independence Bank is more than a business. It is an organization that is here to make a difference. Today, we're here to break ground on our new Louisville headquarters. This building will be a replica of Independence Hall. We will transform and enhance this corner as one of the most beautiful intersections in all of Louisville. Now, on a special note, this corner has special meaning to me. Many people may not realize it, but 70 years ago, in this spot, right here where the dirt is, was the First National Bank of St. Matthews, the community bank of St. Matthews. 70 years ago, the president of that bank was a gentleman by the name of Carl Straub, who was my great uncle. So the special meaning to me is I'm so pleased to have Independence Bank here. It's another Kentucky community bank led by another longtime Louisvillian, led by another Straub, and I'm just so pleased to have this come full circle for this community, the city, and my family. Now, as a tradition for all of our signature headquarters, our location headquarters in our communities, we give the building a special name. So we will be naming this building for the patron saint of bankers in honor of the first bank that was located on this corner and for the local community which we serve. From this day forward, this location will be known as St. Matthew's Square. All of our team is anxious to serve everyone in Louisville, and we look forward to this ribbon cutting that will happen in about 301 days from now. Hear that, Calhoun Construction? But before we get to that point, we have some more remarks from some distinguished guests about our groundbreaking today. The first person I want to bring up is someone that needs no introduction, but I've got to say something. So I've had the pleasure to work with Mayor Fisher on many different projects over my career. And I like to share this story. 18 months ago, I was up in Indianapolis on business at the National Conference of Mayors. And Mayor Fisher was there representing the city of Louisville. So this is all the major cities in the country. And Louisville received more accolades than anybody else in the country. The leadership that Mayor Fisher has provided to this city and the reputation that this city is garnering across the country has a lot to do with the work that Mayor Fisher has done. With that, I'd like to introduce the mayor.
Well, thank you, and everybody, welcome to one of the signature corners here in our city. It's great to see the new development here, and it's great to see Louis Straub at the helm of this great institution here. As we all know, he's had a long and storied and successful history in banking in our community, but also in community service as well. There's a few folks in Louisville that I call citizen soldiers, and when I call you a citizen soldier, it means that these are folks that are like all in. No matter what you ask them to do, they always take on projects and they do more and they exceed expectations, or they have great leadership positions like Louis has with Brightside and other organizations. So I think Independence Bank has been very smart in choosing Louis Straub as your leader here in our community. So we're grateful for you, Louis. You're a good man. Thank you. We're also formally welcoming the team here with Independence Bank in the community. We've met several times already before, but I just really want to say thank you guys for just being at the top of your game in this industry. You know what we say, somebody's got to be the best in the world at what you do, so why not you guys? And you all are going to help set the tone for the city and what we do here, and I appreciate that very much. Also, we're really attracted to your community mission of giving back. It's a good fit with our community value of compassion that we have here in our city. Look, folks, we're all in it together here in Louisville, and it's important that everybody feels like they have a successful pathway forward. So knowing that Independence Bank is going to be part of that mission is very reassuring here for us today. Our city is going through tremendous momentum right now, so it's a good time to be opening any business here in the community. This morning we announced another $90 million project. We've created 71,000 jobs, 2,500 new businesses, and there's $11 billion of construction either going on or announced in the community, plus this project today, Louis. So it's a good time to be in Louisville, and it's a good time to be any business or a bank here in the Louisville. So I'm excited to be here to break ground with you guys. And Louis, if we could, recognize you. And Gina O'Brien, also from Brightside, is here. If you'd come up. Louis, as everybody I hope knows, has been chairperson of Brightside as one part of his career, and there's been a few people in the city that have shown more dedication to keeping our city clean and green with a great environment. And so, Louis, we wanted to thank you and just give this to you, honoring Independence Bank here today, and thanking you for...
I am. Go ahead. It's all right.
I'm a little bit ahead of him, but he says go ahead. So in addition to announcing this great groundbreaking here today, Independence Bank is starting with a great start in the community by giving a gift of $17,000 to Brightside here today in our community. Brightside's led by Gina O'Brien. This is no small contribution to Brightside. This will go a long, long way to making us an even more beautiful city. So to the Independence Bank team, and Louis, we just want to say thank you very, very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Take a picture. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to bring you back up in a minute, Gina. Mayor, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate all your work and everything you do for the city, and we will be explaining a little bit more about the donation and special presentation to Brightside in a few minutes. Next person I'd like to bring up is another man that needs no introduction. He has been a leader, and his family has been a member of the St. Matthews community for decades. His family has done so much for St. Matthews and so much for Louisville. I can't say enough good things about Mayor Richard Tonini. Rick Tonini, will you please come up here?
Today is the start of building of this beautiful new building. I think before it got started, there was a little bit of a black eye with some of the issues of trees that were taken down. There was a well-known hardware store. Pete Hammer's here. Say hello to, raise your hand, Pete. Pete Hammer his family operated the hardware store for decades. But I have to say that Louis and I and the people with St. Matthews worked very hard to try to save that tree. Everybody wrote that he was a crazed man with a chainsaw in his hand, and that's just not true. Few people know that for like 6 years he was the chairman of Operation Brightside, and he cared about the plants and the way this city looks, and not just St. Matthews, but the whole Metro Louisville. So he's not a crazed man with a chainsaw in his hand. He's really very, very in tune with what it needs to be. Matter of fact, Independence Bank is cooperating with, sponsoring. We're going to be planting dozens of trees down along the railroad track here. They were all killed by the ash borer bug, and we're going to replace those. We've also had some conversations about doing hanging baskets and different things here along Frankfort Avenue, and here comes the train. But we really tried to save the tree, and it's really a bad rap that Louis got for being so uncaring about that tree. I mean, there are people that wrote articles in the newspaper that had no idea what was going on. So I wanted to just say a little bit about Louis. We're very happy to have this in our city, and we would look forward to it being done as soon as possible. I do have a proclamation to read here. It's to whom all these presents shall come. Whereas Independence Bank has a history of people who wanted to create a strong community bank by persuading the best bankers in the area to join their team. Whereas Independence Bank focuses on everyday excellence by making decisions that are best for the customer. Whereas Independence Bank is thriving and the revolution continues to grow. Now therefore, I, Richard Tonini, Mayor of the City of St. Matthews, with concurrence of the City Council, do hereby proclaim November 28, 2017 as Independence Bank Groundbreaking Day in the City of St. Matthews, and call upon all citizens to join in fostering with the respect and worthy organization and observance to this special day. In testimony wherefore witness my hand on this day, November 28, 2017, the City of St. Matthews, Kentucky.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I also want to say he must know, Father Dave, he must know somebody, because it could just as easily be sleeting in 30 degrees today, and we got this beautiful day. So you and he can work together.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So our next individual that's going to say a few remarks is with Greater Louisville Inc. I got to know Sarah when we were in Bingham Fellows together, working on a project about the urban-rural divide, and GLI has taken that up as a mantle. They just held a luncheon about a week ago talking about the urban-rural divide that we have in this state. What's so great about Independence Bank is located in western Kentucky, part of the rural parts of our state. We're moving to Louisville. We're moving to the other urban areas. Independence Bank can be a great catalyst to help unify this state. It's another reason why I joined this organization. It's about more than being a business. It's about making a difference. I'd like to bring Sarah up here. Sarah DeVashner Wisdom with GLI, a person that's making a difference.
Thank you, Louis. It's great to be with each of you today. You know, those of us in Chamber World often joke that we bring Chamber of Commerce weather, so I'm happy to bring that here to you today. A big congratulations to Independence Bank and to Louis for construction of this new facility in St. Matthews. It's clear from looking at the renderings and from hearing all about this project that it's really going to transform this area. And it's a fitting home for a bank with such deep community ties to Kentucky. We're very excited about this groundbreaking today. It will cement the footprint of Independence Bank here in this region, and we look forward to celebrating with you today. So congratulations. Thank you for your investment in Greater Louisville.
The next speaker is Mike Chesser with the St. Matthews Chamber of Commerce. Now, I've had the pleasure of getting to know Mike over the past 6 months since I joined the bank. There's not a more dedicated leader to this community, the community of St. Matthews. He has worked with us side by side as we've had the pleasure of sponsoring and working on a lot of different St. Matthews community activities. And I cannot thank you enough for your guidance. And he's also been helping us as we've been discussing some of the beautification efforts that we're doing, or we're contemplating, and we're going to talk about that again in a minute. But Mike, if you could come up for a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here and celebrating today here in St. Matthews with Independence Bank. You know, I began thinking about this presentation just moments after receiving the invitation, trying to figure out how am I going to keep my comments brief but impactful, important but not so notable that I upstage either mayor that's present here today. And for those of you who understand small chamber business, that's called job security. I began thinking about Independence Bank and the great people I've met to date. I started thinking about the building that will soon take place and take shape here on this corner. But what I continued to come back to was the thought of Independence Bank here in our community. You know, community is not just being geographically close to one another or part of the same social networks. It's about feeling connected and engaged within your community. You see, I believe in giving back, and it's very important to me, and I think it's important to your community and to businesses in our community. I think globally and act locally, I suppose. As the executive director of the Chamber of St. Matthews, I believe that while many of us measure the success of business by the accumulation of profits, market share, and even the value of its products and service in the eyes of consumers. But maybe it's because I'm a little old-fashioned. It goes back to the importance of measuring a business success by their involvement and impact and effect on their community. For many of you here today, Independence Bank is new to St. Matthews. But I want you all to know that Independence Bank has been in your community now for well over a year. They may not have a building yet, but they've been actively involved here in St. Matthews, from their participation and support with the St. Matthews Street Festival, passing out candy to over 4,000 kids attending Halloween in Brown Park, to their involvement in this coming Saturday's Light Up St. Matthews holiday celebration in Brown Park. Independence Bank has been actively working within the businesses and the business community here in St. Matthews already. And all of us locally, without a building, without a desk, and I guess, Louis, with all of that said, I can't wait to see your impact on this community when the doors of this new Independence Bank are open. On behalf of our board of directors, staff, and over 800 business members in the St. Matthews and Louisville metro area, congratulations. We are very excited to have Independence Bank as a valued member and partner here in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your very kind remarks. Very, very nice. Before we get started with the blessing, we have a special presentation that the mayor kind of stole some of the thunder, but not all of it. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today. If I could have Gina O'Brien come up here, and could you bring up the check too? So, Mayor, you were close. You were close on the dollar amount that we're going to present today. It's just a little bit more. See, Independence Bank was named after the founding of our country, right? And the date in which we started, 1776. You go to our website, www.1776bank.com. We believe in a lot of history, the good things about our country, the fundamentals that our country was founded upon, and everything that all of our soldiers and people have sacrificed, all of our leaders have sacrificed to make this a great country. You know, I watched the movie Lincoln last night. I was so nervous I couldn't sleep, right, about today. And so I watched the movie Lincoln and the things that he did and the things that people fought for to make this country great. And that's what Independence Bank stands for. And so today we're going to present a check to Brightside in the amount of $17,760. Now, a little bit about what this is for is that a lot of things have been alluded to, and we've made a commitment and a promise to lead in some beautification efforts in this community. We are not going to announce what those are. We're going to announce them in the spring because, as you can tell, there's been lots of conversations that have taken place. We've had conversations with Brightside. We've had conversations with the city of Louisville, with the city of St. Matthews, with many business leaders. And so we hope to do something very impactful for this community with some beautification efforts to be announced in the spring. So, but this $17,760 represents a leadership gift that will go a long way towards those beautification efforts. So thank you, Brightside, for everything you do, and thank you for all the leadership that all of our leaders provide in this community. Now, before I ask for the blessing, I want to thank a couple people and some organizations that are going to be doing a lot of work on this ground during the construction. I want to thank Calhoun Construction. They are our contractors. You know that they've done many other major projects in the city, so we're so happy to have them as a partner in building this magnificent building that's going to look like Independence Hall. I want to thank Axiom, who is our architects. They've done a great job. I've worked with them quite a bit. Lots of phone calls, emails going back and forth as we're putting this together. And special thanks to Phil Riney. Phil works for us at Independence Bank. He manages all of our real estate properties. And I think I've talked to Phil more than anybody else at Independence Bank. So, Phil, thank you for all your work. I really, really appreciate it. Father, will you please come up? Father Dave Harris, and will you please bless this ground and bless the people that will be working on it?
Absolutely. What a true joy it is to be here today. I feel the excitement and the energy of what's taking place, and extremely grateful for the sense of community, giving back to the community, because I see so many of you gathered here together today. And what a perfect name, St. Matthew Square, after the patron saint of bankers. I like that, St. Matthew. So that's just one more reason that this is going to be such a very good place. Now I'd like to offer a blessing as we begin this time of breaking ground. Blessed are you, O Lord, who gave us the command to work, so that by relying on our minds and our hands, we might devote ourselves to perfecting creation. Blessed are you, O Lord, who willed that your Son, made flesh for us, should practice the carpenter's trade. Blessed are you, O Lord, who in Christ made the yoke of toil sweet and its burden light. Blessed are you, O Lord, who in your providence move us always to strive to do our best. We realize, O Lord, now that many hours of labor will be needed in order to complete this project. We ask you, therefore, to send forth laborers and supplies to accomplish what is to be done. We ask for your protection now upon each construction worker, that will be here on this site. We know that construction requires safety, and we ask that you encamp your angels around this property to encircle all who come here. Lord, we are convinced you have begun a good work today, and we pray in confidence that you will complete it. We ask all of this in the name of the carpenter, Jesus. Amen.
All right, as with most groundbreakings, there's going to be several different groups of people coming up here to turn the shovels of dirt, and I'm going to let Bridget Reed coordinate all of that. But for the first turning of the dirt, I would like to ask all of our speakers to come forward along with any elected public officials that are here.